Okay, I need to organize those screws right there. It's a pile of sycamore. I'm using the screw box as a reference for the height. I'm making a caddy. I'm going to organize a bunch of screws into different cubby holes. This is sycamore that I have a ton of, and I'm doing that rough cut. I left myself a little bit more room so when I flip the board over I could trim off that other edge. So this is my last cut. Now I move over about a quarter of an inch, and now I flip over every board. So every board now is going to be dressed on both sides. The first fresh cut, and then I flip it back and I cut off that factory edge, which is a little rough. Then I'm planing them. I'm making them a little bit thin. They're about a ½ inch thick. Honestly, I don't even know how thick they are, but they're pretty close to a ½ inch. But I'm taking a little bit of weight off them because this thing's going to be pretty hefty. And now I need to know exactly how long it's going to be. I'm going to make 8 cubbies, and the box is 4½ inches. So I know I need at least space for that, and then the 5 pieces of wood. And so I end up with 18 inches for the boxes, and then all that wood together gives me the whole girth of the side of this box. And I'm going to finger join it, so each side is the full width of that side, including the walls on the opposite side. So right there, so now I'm at 13.6. I have the length and width of the box, and the dividing walls are going to be dadoed into place. So right now I'm marking where is going to be the finger joints and then where is going to be the dados. And since the box is symmetrical, I'm doing opposite sides together. And this is my saw stop. I'm changing out the regular blade for the dado stack, and I also had to change the brake, the electronic brake. And I made that sled just for this project. So I have a good fit. I didn't want to sacrifice a full insert. I do have extras, but in this case I was just careful. I'm using pencil lines that I just drew on there in the previous scene, and I'm making sure everything's accurate. And now those are the sides of the box, and I'm going to do the ends. And so there I have all my dado cuts. And now this is going to be the one wall that goes down the center of the box, and it has to have dados on opposite sides. And you'll see in a minute how everything fits together. It's tricky. There's a lot to think about all at one time. The dados and the finger joints and everything. And there I'm looking at it. So now I'm going to go back to the box joint blade. So I have to change only the blade, not the brake again, because it's all still for the 8-inch side. And there's a good insert that's already dedicated to that blade. And that's my box joint jig. It has 2 positions for the 1/4 inch double stack, which is on now, or the regular 1/8 inch wide typical blade. And I'm in the 1/4 inch position now. And there you see the sides all getting ready. And once I have this all together, I did a dry fit quickly off camera just to make sure that it was going to go together, and it did. So here I just palm sand off the pencil lines and some of the chip out, and I go right into gluing it together. But I had dry fitted already. The finger joints are a little loose this time, and so just with a air nail just to keep them together while I get it all set up. And there it actually fit together pretty good, to my surprise. Like I said, there's a lot to think about, and it's the type of thing where I always forget something. My diagonal was off a little bit. Once your diagonals are the same in each direction, that's when you square. And so I made those little blocks to pull it into square. And now these are the dividing walls between the 8 cavities. And they just slide down in place. I just put a little bit of glue in there just to keep them snugged into place, but they're not going to go anywhere once there's a bottom on there. So there it is. Everything's glued up. And now this is just a dry fit. I make these cubbies so that those boxes straight from the store will fit in there. That's in the event that I want to move them around just to change the order. But they don't always have to have the cardboard box. I'm switching the blade back to the normal blade, so I have to change the brake and everything. And so now I'm just showing you how you could cut thin wood with your safety guide still in place. So I'm just using that piece of wood as a spacer. So you could imagine a thin piece of wood right next to the fence. The guard would have a problem moving around, so that's why I use this little spacer wood. So I can cut a thin piece of wood and not worry about the guard banging on the fence. And that's ipe. I'm going to use that as a hardwood edge. I like to use that, especially when I'm making something that's going to bang around the workshop like this. This is actually going to be for my upstate workshop, where it's probably not going to move all that much. So I had a couple different ideas for handles. Here you see me gluing the edge banding on. I'm just gluing it and taping it in place, making sure everything fits snugly, so I'm kind of sanding it till it fits. I had a couple different handle ideas, and I settled on this idea with a rope, which you'll see in a minute, because this is going to be semi-mobile. I probably won't always carry it around with me. It's going to be in my shop. When I need to move it, I'm going to move it, but it's more than likely going to sit under the bench. And this is going to be the bottom. It's just some more of that same wood. And just put a hardwood strip on the end. It's going to reinforce the holes that I'm about to put in there. Just a little bit of air nails there just to keep them in place while it dries. And now just sanding it, prepping it, just trying to make it look as nice as I can. It's always important to have a sanding block, especially when you do edge banding like that. And now I'm just sanding diagonally across the square holes. It's a good way to flatten everything. And now I'm marking what's going to be the holes for the rope. And then I go and drill that. Choosing a Forstner bit. This box is going to be extremely heavy, so this hardwood's going to go across the whole bottom. And then you see the way I set the rope up, it's going to be pretty fully suspended from the handles. Now I'm marking the width of the side of each wall there, so when I drill down from the top, I know exactly where the screw is going to go. It's going to go right into the center of each one of those walls. And I'm just countersinking them from the bottom. Put a little bit of glue on everything, and then I'll let it set up so I can flip it over and know it's all going to stay in position. That was about 10 minutes of setup time. Now it's just screwing it. And then I add some more screw holes with the countersink. And that bottom's pretty much not going anywhere. And then I have this leftover water base sanding sealer that I paint it with. And then I let this dry, I sanded it, and then I gave it a coat of spray poly, which kind of pumped the color up a little bit. So there you see it's a little bit more rich in its color. This is just a piece of rope that I had this idea. I usually do this on milk crates, where I just kind of weave it through the bottom like that. And now I'm weaving these ends together. I worked on it a little bit more off camera, so that's why I cut right through it. That's not an easy thing to do. And so I'm just testing the length. I left it kind of long because I wanted to have a low center of gravity when I carry it. I don't want to have to carry it super high, so it's like up near my waist. So there you can see, low to the ground. It's going to be super heavy. And there you go. There's my screw caddy. I built it strong because it's going to be a lot of weight dragging around. Thanks for watching.